Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Indianapolis. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Eric Froelich, and we're ready for the finals. It has been a long road for both of these players, Ray Perez versus Brent Clausen, and they have fought their way to the finals. Only one person can walk away with that Grand Prix winning plaque, though. And let's talk about the matchup here. Efro, we've got Brent Clausen is playing Obzon, and he's playing a pretty, we'd call that a stock list of what we'd expect to see from a current day Obzon deck. His opponent, Ray Perez Jr., though, is on kind of a newer deck. It's a black-white tokens deck with a little bit of blue for the sideboard.
Yeah, a lot of powerful cards, a lot of Planeswalkers. You see 4 Gideons, 2 Sorens, and 1 Ob Nixilis. Tons of removal. Pretty good deck against spot removal. You're making a lot of tokens. Gideon Soren can make tokens and stick around the Planeswalker behind. Wingmate Rock comes along with a buddy. Hangerback Walker, get value out of that. Night of the White Orchid, often get value out of that. So this deck does very well against 1-for-1 removal, has plenty of removal of its own, can scale up with cards like Secure the Waste. You can get a lot of various Glorious Anthem effects. This is things that pump your entire team in cards like Gideon and Soren Solemn Visitor. And so, yeah, you just kind of have a lot of game, and you're turning off your opponent's 1-for-1 removal, and that's just a good place to be in Standard right now.
All right, so Clausen was the higher seed, so he got to be on the play here in the finals as the 5th seed. But Ray doesn't mind. He actually gets to play Night of the White Orchid, although
He doesn't actually get
looks
to play
like he
a land.
doesn't have a land out of his hand here, so that's a little awkward for him. Now, when it comes to the roles that the decks are going to play in the matchup here, how do you see that breaking down? Is one of them the more assertive deck?
Yeah, I think that Abzan needs to get ahead a little bit more. I mean, it definitely has a decent late game. It's got 4 Gideons of his own. He's got Siege Rhino. He's got Den Protectors. He's got his own Wingmate Rocks. But the token deck feels like it can kind of flood the board out of nowhere with cards like Secure the Waste and potentially some of these Planeswalkers. So
Okay.
I would like to get on the aggressive, if possible, as an Abzan deck. But this is definitely games that will go long, barring mana issues and just huge stumbles.
Yeah, now this was actually a fairly slow start for Brent. His first actual play was that Den Protector. You could still look at it now, right? Just double check.
Exile is a.
There we go. But he did go Den Protector into Siege Rhino. Now the Den Protector, the shields were down, and Silk Wrap gets to pick it up here. But Siege Rhino's not stopping, and guess what? You never have just one.
Yeah.
So
They
double
do like
Siege
to crash
Rhino.
the party.
Indeed. Yeah. There we go. Now you're getting it. Ray Perez down to 9 already.
It's over. No 4th
And
land,
that
no spell.
Is game. Brutal.
Yeah, he had the Night of the White Orchid to kind of steal tempo back, hopefully get right to his 4 mana spells, and maybe have mana left over to spare, maybe play 2 spells in a turn, cast some of those powerful removal spells. It looked like he had some Utter Ends in his hand that could deal with Siege Rhinos, of course. Didn't have a land in hand, was able to get out the 3rd land, and just didn't have the 4th to really turn his deck on.
Well, that was an utter thumping there from Brent Clausen, and he's going to be happy to be up a game so easily. He really didn't have to do much there. And now he's just one single game away as the players go to consult their sideboards.
I think he would be content with being up a game even if he had to try a little bit harder, but
fair enough.
Either way.
That was pretty effortless for him. So
cast my Siege Rhino, remember trigger. Cast my Siege Rhino, remember trigger. Oh, I got this one?
Standard's not that hard, right? So let's take a look at the sideboards here. I'm seeing that Brent has, well, he's got some Silk Wraps, a couple of Tassigers, some Transgress the Minds, a pair of Duress. I would expect him to bring those in. A couple of Self-Inflicted Wounds, a pair of Ultimate Prices Soren, Solemn Visitor, and a Wingmate Rock out of the board.
Yeah, I think that in this kind of matchup, I'm just looking to play more ways to attack the hand, because those can take away a lot of the powerful spells. Might look for another copy of Wingmate Rocks because it's very powerful. Not a lot of ways to really deal with that. And spot removal is kind of not exactly where you want to be. Abzan Charm is a very good spot removal spell in general, just because, of course, you can draw 2 or you can pump your creatures, but it's still not great in this matchup. I mean, it can take care of a Hangerback Walker potentially in a pinch and deal with Gideon, but he doesn't have a lot of cards that you necessarily don't want in your deck. There's not a lot of just complete misses.
Now, is Brent still going to try to be the aggressor here, though?
Yeah, you know, he's on the draw, but his opponent's deck doesn't really come out of the gates fast, period. I mean, we're talking about the mid-rangiest of mid-range decks. It doesn't have a lot of early drops, you know, the 2-drop or Hangerback Walker and Day of the White Orchid. These are not cards that really provide a ton of pressure out of Raymond Perez Jr.'s
Oh, out
deck.
of Ray's deck.
So, you know, he's just kind of accelerating to his game plan, trying to set up, you know, more for the mid game where he can kind of flood out the board and use some of his powerful mythic rares and planeswalkers to kind of take over the game. So Brent would love to be able to get under that and have some aggressive creatures, but you know they do kind of get outclassed, and you don't really want to just walk into these silk wraps and murderous cuts that Ray Perez Jr. has available to him. So while he would prefer to get an aggressive start, he's just looking to, I guess, not fall too far behind so that he doesn't get beaten out of nowhere.
All right. Well, players have made their decisions as far as what they want to bring to battle here, and if Ray's going to win a GP, he's going to have to win back-to-back games against Brent Clausen and Obzon. A tall order, to be sure. But you know, you mentioned it as we were coming into the finals here, Eric. That, I mean, Ray has brought this deck, and you got to figure he's battled against multiple Obzon builds. He did play an Obzon build in the semis, though it was significantly different than what Brent's doing here.
Yeah, I mean, significantly, and yet still it's Obzon.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
The key players in the deck are still going to be there. This deck, as you mentioned in the beginning, is more streamlined. It's basically all 4 ofs. There's just a 1 of Murderous Cut, 3 Hangerbacks, 2 Wingmate Rocks. Everything else is just all the best cards, 4 of. But, you know, even when you get pretty far off the beaten path, you're still looking at about, you know, a vast majority of the spells are just the same cards. You're going to play Siege Rhinos, you're going to play Gideons.
Right. Yeah, I think the one that he faced in the semis was probably a half a gear faster than what Brent does.
Sure.
But yeah, not that different.
So it looks like a pretty slow hand from Ray. I see Disdainful Stroke looks like Surge of Righteousness, so some reactive spells.
Yeah, I do think he really does try to position himself to be the control player in the post-board games. We saw him do that in the semifinals as well. And he did it successfully.
Yeah.
He played Ob Nixilis Reignited.
Yeah,
Was
cards
able to
like
keep
that
it alive, and yeah, kind of took over.
and Painful Truce. He's got multiple copies of that. Just good cards in these mid-range attrition battles where, you know, you're going to be trading a little bit more 1-for-1, although it doesn't always feel that way because, you know, Secure the Waste and Gideon are creating multiple cards, but you know your opponent has those powerful cards too that present multiple threats, and so the trades end up coming down to closer to 1-for-1 than you might expect, and that's where cards like Painful Truth is just really strong. Just being able to draw 3 cards, you don't mind hitting some lands.
All right, Brent has kept and scried to the top as well. He kept Adromica's Command on top. And here we go, Warden of the First Tree. This is exactly what Brent wants to do. He can get the beatdown coming pretty quickly and really force Ray to react to him. Ray has a lot of 4-mana spells in his deck. His deck can play out pretty clunky. So he forces Ray to have certain answers. Else he takes, you know, 9 damage off of this Warden.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got a lot of good answers. I mean, he's got the Surge of Righteousness we mentioned and the Disdainful Stroke, but those don't do a very good job of dealing with a nice green creature.
No, he needs... No, he's only going to take 1 this turn. He usually...
Looks like he did have the untapped white source.
Yeah, it's Silk Wrap is, you know, Ray's kind of go-to to take out creatures like Warden, and it's one of his only 4-ofs. He's got 4 4-ofs, I guess, in the main outside of lands, and Silk Wrap's one of them. So Ray clearly recognizing that Silk Wrap's an important piece of the puzzle for how his deck actually wins, but maybe he doesn't have one here.
Yeah, answers to Warden, answers to Hangerback Walker, and answers to Jace are a big part of Standard right now. Looks like he has the option here of playing an untapped land and maybe taking 4 damage for a Painful Truth, or playing a tapped land and leaving up counter magic. That doesn't make a lot of sense because Disdainful Stroke is not on right now. I guess he would have to discard if he cast Painful Truth, maybe considering casting it for only 2 and saving 2 points of life.
We have some results from our Super Sunday series between the following players.
Okay, Polluted Delta hits the bin.
So find a small.
For the Super Sunday Series, Raja Suleiman, Jake Koenig, Ari Parker, Brenda Smith, Michael Fantini, Christ Callis, David Irvine, Brian Turk.
All right, there it is. Painful truths. Draw 3. So Ray, like you said, he's going to have to discard, but he knew that already, and he just wanted to get as deep into that library as he could to try to find the pieces that he needs to win this game, win another game, and win a GP. Brent Clausen, though, is going to develop his board out here. Does he have a third land? Absolutely. Another Shambling Vents. He goes for the somewhat rare face-up Den Protector here.
Yeah, usually not a great sign.
Right. He did have the option to pump up his Warden to the first tree instead, but he declined it.
But it looks like he's got a bunch of Den Protectors in hand and no more mana.
Just wants to loop him. Oh, you're right. He has 2 more in his hand. Goodness. He does have an Obzon Charm, though. And that can help him find more lands if he needs to. Not necessarily how he would draw up the perfect game, I don't think, but he'll take it.
Yeah, Ray Perez has to be pretty happy that this Warden couldn't turn on turn 2. Saving 4 points of damage, already at 13 life. Could have been at 9. If that Shambling Vent was an untapped white source.
Duress. So there. All right, so it's Dromoka's Command and Obzon Charm to go with the 2 Den Protectors. So we'll see how this works out. He will also note here, of course, that Brent doesn't have any more mana to go. Take a look at his hand and see if Dromoka's Command is a card he's worried about here.
Yeah, it looks like there's a Silk Wrap in hand, but Obzon Charm is still probably the more powerful card in the matchup.
Absolutely.
Perez is going to take that down.
Now, does he have a follow-up here? Remember, that was just his first play here. He also has a land drop available to him this turn. Okay, he's going to Silk Wrap a Warden that was just a 1/1. Play a land and pass. There is a land off the top for Clausen. I don't know if it changes a ton here. Raise at 13 life. Starting to fall, though. Yeah, Clausen.
Not sure what his plan is here, of why he's fetching Forest right now. Oh,
As opposed to
not doing that.
just getting a dual land later or
Yeah,
something.
I would imagine that the best play right now is just playing a face-down Den Protector. I guess he's going to go with Dromoka's Command.
Put a counter on his Den Protector, get back the Warden. He does have the mana to level it. Of course, it has Summoning Sickness at the moment. Well, this did reinstate his board state. Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's just going all in.
Very aggressive. So another face-up Den Protector here from Clausen.
Basically saying, hey, if you couldn't deal with this last turn, I hope you can't deal with these next turn.
This is land number 5, though, for Perez, who will have brought in and in hostilities out of the board. Doesn't have it here, though. He's going to have to settle for Sorin. Make a Vampire, which doesn't look great here.
Yeah, not the most impressive.
He's going to
can't
lose
block
Sorin.
the 1 Den Protector.
So Sorin down. Now, wait a minute. There is Murderous Cut available, though, to Ray Perez, at least mana-wise.
Yes.
Don't know if he has it in his hand. But he does play 3 of them. So it is not unlikely. Can't quite get a look.
Yeah, I didn't think he had one, but it's certainly possible.
Didn't either, but 3 in the main deck.
Well, we've got some options here.
All right, so he's going to make sure that Sorin dies even through a Murderous Cut here by attacking with the Den Protector and the yet to be leveled but should be soon Warden of the First Tree. The other Den Protector is going to attack Ray, and Ray's just going to trade it off for a token here. But that means that Soren's down.
It does.
And now the parade of Den Protectors begins.
It does.
That was the third one that he had. He had 3 from the beginning of the game here. And now he can just get one back and kind of keep looping here.
Yeah, this is definitely becoming pretty close to over. He
Yeah.
really needs something. Like we talked about his opening hand having those reactive spells, the Surge of Righteousness, Disdainful Stroke, and he's just not even found a target for these cards.
No.
Like, boarded them both in. Neither of them main deck cards, of course, and they have looked really weak.
They certainly have no Siege Rhinos in sight. No on offenses.
Just a string of Den Protectors and no real answer to them. Had the one Silk Wrap. Mocha's Command took care of that.
And the play is land go for Ray Perez. This is not good news for Ray. Brent Clausen, though, I think the blood's in the water here. He can smell the victory. He's going to flip up a Den Protector, get another Den Protector back, draw a Silk Wrap. That doesn't look too great here. There's also a Shambling Vents for Brent Clausen.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's probably just content to pump this Warden and
Yeah.
or just playing another face down Den Protector if he wants. Doesn't really seem like the time to overextend.
Yeah. He's not
Just
even
pumping
going to.
the Warden. It makes the most sense.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, even then, he just took, what, 7 damage? So any of these 3 Den Protectors is lethal? Or
Right.
actually, just any of these creatures is lethal. And that's it. Brent Clausen wins. Ray Perez with a tough draw in Game 2. Can't put up a fight and extends the hand. We've got our champion. It's Brent Clausen and Obzon here in Indianapolis. See the players having a little chat here. This is customary for Magic players. But a big victory for Brent. Congratulations to him. Also, congratulations to Ray Perez on a great finish. You know, Ray's a grinder. That's a PT invite. And that is going to do it for the finals here from Indy.